Welcome to another episode of the JBK Show. On today's episode, we have another huge guest, personal trainer, entrepreneur, social media star, James Smith. Mate, thank you for jumping on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Mate, it's a pleasure to have you on. You are a huge social media star.
1.1 million Instagram followers, 1.7 TikTok followers.
I want the audience to get to know you a little bit better. You're originally from England, placed in Windsor. How did you get started on social media or in the world of personal training?
So very low production to begin with. I used to do lives in the gym. So I've been working in the gym since 2014. I was in the UK. I was in a budget gym that was like $40 a month. And I was like, this is sick. Get in there, training my clients. And then I would have like cancellations or I'd have like an hour between and I'd make like a little picture with an avocado and talk about like, hey guys, we don't burn fats at high intensity. You know, we're like getting into a little cafe and writing about stuff.
This is 2014, this is early.
2014, yeah, this is Facebook. This is like WordPress websites and stuff. And then I'll never forget the live feature came on Facebook and I went into the PT room, put my phone on the side and did like a little live video talking about like the rep pyramid or something. Got like 100 views. I was like, if 10 of them inquire for PT,
money.
Oh yeah, big money. When I got 100 likes on a post, I was like, Mum, Dad, I think I'm famous.
I made it.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings.
And then I remember once I was just pissed off about something. I just ranted. And I put the video up and checked later and it had so much more engagement. I was like, this is what they want. So I would just find topics that my clients would ask me. They'd be like, oh, James, what's the difference between a potato or a sweet potato? And I'd be like, I'm going to write that on my phone. I'd go to the PT room, make a video. And then it took me 4 years to get to 10,000 followers. And then another 4 years to get to 1 million.
Far out. So you've been in the game, the content game for a while. It is a grind. You didn't always start as a personal trainer. You went through like the corporate world. What were you doing for a job? What made you want to go, nah, this isn't for me. I got a bigger purpose.
So went to college, then went to university. I actually got kicked out of school when I was 16.
Respect.
So my mum...
What'd you do?
There's a lot of things. But like, imagine whenever, did you get sent to your headmaster over here?
I had a lot of college detentions, they called them, where you would just have to stay back after school just for a range of different things, pranks.
Headmaster on occasion.
Headmaster on occasion would
Terrible.
pull you up. Yeah, well, you almost got kicked out.
I got kicked out.
That was more of a sporting
Most
thing.
brilliant minds do.
Yeah, we're just, it's not made for us, that, and plus I was trying to entertain a lot of the students.
And a lot of the smart people in my class, I haven't seen any of them recently.
No.
Like, it's always the low achievers that are out there killing it.
Majority of them are working for banks. Some of my mates that, were probably like the ducks of the school. They're in investment in banking and stuff like that.
Monitoring risk.
Each to their own.
Risk.
Yeah.
But then, say I'd get sent to the head teachers, I'd be like, okay, but I'd just go outside, I'd sit in the toilet cubicle for 2 minutes, and I'd go back in, I'd be like, trying to keep a straight face, and I'd be like, I've been told to get my stuff. And all my classmates would be like, ooh. I just get my bag and just walk to the sweet shop, like round the corner. I hadn't gone to the headmaster, I hadn't gone to any teachers. I'd be walking out the school and they'd be like, Mr. Smith, where are you going? I'd be like, I've got the dentist. It was just lies all the time. So there was a creative aspect in there, just not being utilised. Went to college, went to uni, went to one lecture. I actually got mumps at uni. Have you heard of mumps
Like a
before?
skin condition?
It's where your glands in your throat become massive, but you have a jab, like an MMR.
Yeah.
So the whole rugby team went down with it. And like, I remember just waking up one day and I was like, lads, did I get in a fight last night? Whole rugby team got sent home from uni. I came back to uni, I went to my first lecture, but I missed 3 weeks. So I opened the door to my university class. I just spent thousands of pounds to be there. And the lecturer was like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, wrong room, sorry. I didn't want to go through the awkwardness of it. Because of that, I flunked the whole term at uni, and I needed money to stay afloat so that my parents wouldn't be like, you need to come home. So I worked in door-to-door sales, and I did that for an energy company called N-Power, where I was selling gas and electric to people that already had it. So I'm in like cold Gloucester, winter, knocking on doors. Most people only let me in because they think I was reading the meter.
Or you're Jehovah's Witness or something.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, come in for a cup of tea. All right, yeah. And then once you've done that, you get a thick skin. Then I went into like the corporate world of sales, IT sales, stuff like that. But I fucking hated the way, back then I hated it. Nowadays it'd be fucked.
Well, do you think that kind of helped mold you into becoming this, online phenomenon, or as even a better personal trainer, going through, like being a salesman?
Yeah.
That's obviously given you the skills to do what you do now.
The
God
thick
knows
skin.
the people you would have come across knocking on their doors.
Oh yeah, and I got one sale, 100 doors, and that was good. So I got told to fuck off all day, so that was fine. But then when I got to sales, I enjoyed the sales aspect, but I didn't like the shirt, the tie, the bullshit, the cool stats. Like, And also, I would have to lie. People were like, how was your weekend? And I was like, oh, I actually was throwing up into a bin bag on a rugby bus. I was naked, and I did a no-handed mangina in front of 80 people at another rugby club.
Standard Saturday.
Yeah, but then I'd have to come in and be like, yes, I just went for dinner with my friends. You know, you got to lie in the corporate world. They're like, how's your day? I'm not like, oh, I'm fucking hungover and don't know where I woke up because I was at student night, you know, night out. I hate the corporate world. They're so fake with each other.
It's like, fake smiles in the office.
You're not allowed to dislike people. And this is my biggest bugbear with the world right now. You're not allowed to dislike someone. And then if I was to say to you guys, I don't like you, people would go, oh, it's fucking racist. Whatever, you can't win. Oh, don't like a woman. Oh, it's fucking sexist.
I'll be honest
misogynist.
I'll be honest with James, I hate everyone.
Yeah, that Nicholas goes about that the same way. He's like, how come you're not allowed to dislike anyone? Or like, you know, every time he comes across someone, I don't know if you've got like a trust thing, but he's just like, I don't like that person. But you're right, that's probably the PC society that we live in today. So you've made the transition into becoming a personal trainer. What made you want to make the move from England over to Australia?
I did a massive bump of ketamine at a festival in Croatia. I swear God's honest truth. I could lie about this. And I was at Martin Garrix's at Ultra, and I've never wanted to go to Australia before in my life. And I remember I met an Aussie guy there. This might have been where it came from.
At the festival?
Yeah, his name was Gene. I still go see him in Brisbane sometimes. And I kind of seen him because the Aussies were sticking together, and I remember we made friends with Aussies. And I remember getting a bump out. This is younger. I'm obviously a more mature guy now. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's too much. I look over to him and he just goes. So I was like, as if to say, he was there with his wife. He was like, we got your back. Whatever happens, we got your back. And I was like, I met this guy 2 nights ago. And so I did it. And I remember being like in a whole, I've never really K-holed that bad. It was a euphoric experience. And I had this introspective conversation to move to Australia. So imagine coming out, it wasn't a K-hole, I was just silent for 20 minutes. I turned to my mates, I was like, I'm moving to Australia. They're like, you're right. Like, have you fried your brain or something? Like, what's going on?
An epiphany.
Yeah, I was like, I'm moving to Australia. And then I came back and I was having a barbecue with my dad and I said, oh, I think I'm going to go to Australia. He was like, yeah, I've always imagined you somewhere like that. And that was it. I was gone 6 weeks later.
Haven't regretted it?
Never. The best thing that ever
That's
happened.
God telling you to come down here.
Yeah, I came here with like 3,000 followers and then I had to go online because I left my clients in the UK. I was charging about £55 an hour, call it $100, which is a flat PT rate. So I sat there and I was like, how am I going to survive? And I thought, I spoke to my clients. I go, right now you're getting an hour from me, right? Just an hour, and it's on a certain day, certain time. How about a week of my time? We'll chat every day and I'll write you a program. We can train 3-4 times a week. So now your sessions are, 4 times cheaper. We get to chat 7 times more. We get to, and they're like, how much? I was like, why don't you pay me for the hour and I'll give you a week instead. So then I sold my personal training. I was like, you don't want to come see me for an hour. What a waste of time. Let me be your trainer for a week.
And what was this in like 2016, 15?
This 2016,
And that's how James Smith Academy really came to fruition. And that's still going to this day. You still do the online personal training. Has it been harder as you've grown, like I said, over 1 million followers, to manage a lot of clients and still be so personable with them?
Yeah, so in the onset, it was WhatsApp chats, catching up with everyone. But then even then, $100 a week is a lot for people. And I always felt like a bit of a fraud. Every time someone paid me, I was like, I felt like I robbed them. Same as PT and face-to-face. Someone buys a 12 block for $1,200 and I'm like, cheers. Like, I wouldn't pay someone that much for coaching. So like, it was such a weird experience. So then, as I was entering Fitness First in Sydney, another James was leaving. And as he's leaving, I'm like, why the fuck is this guy leaving? And he's like, oh, he hated people as well. He goes, I just like to build websites. He's like, I like to sit at home on my own and build websites. So I said, oh, do you want to build mine? So me and him have been in business for 6 years. And we've hired a group of coaches, including some that were at the gym. And when people join, they get our infrastructure, our coaching, my methodologies, my videos. So I'll teach them how to squat, how they should segment their food and diet, whatever. But then we have a group of coaches that chat to them, rotate their programs, so that we can actually cater to the big groups of people. And we charge about $80 a month. So then we're charging people less than a quarter of what we used to. They actually get access to more coaches who probably, a lot of my clients end up liking my coaches more than me by the end of it. So they're like, oh, mate, people are never like, oh, James, your academy's amazing. They're like, oh, your coaches are really good.
And that's a great business model. You can be more hands-off. That's perfect.
And then, but they all have access. They want to send me an email or they want a form check. They can access me at any time. But the idea is that the majority of their questions are already answered by the infrastructure we've created.
So I didn't know that you had so initially it was your clientele from England that you carried over to Australia through the online platform.
Yeah, that's how I backpacked the East Coast.
And I know you had that epiphany at the festival to come to Australia, but I've heard you speak about possibly moving to London before that. Why did you choose Sydney over London?
London's a bit shit. It's just a bit shit. Like
Weather.
Yeah, and I was an hour away, so I've been there before a few times, and it's super expensive. And I was like, in my mind, Australia and Sydney was like the fitness capital of the world. Like, people respect personal trainers here. Like, in the UK, people only need to be in shape for like 2-3 months a year.
Was that their summer?
Summer, the Ibiza trips. And stuff
That's
like
it.
that.
So people get shredded for that one period, and then it's just neglect. And, you know, in the UK, one thing I noticed when I was a single man dating there, especially after living in Australia for a few years, I had to go back in 2018. I had a visa rejected. I was like, wow, people in Australia stay in shape all year round. A lot of people in the UK have fantastic wardrobes to cover it up. And that's not me shaming people for not being in great shape. It's just an observation that I noticed.
Yeah.
The sun's out longer here. Well,
Yeah.
it used to be.
That's
the last couple of
one
years.
thing I think is your appeal. Like I said, you come up on my social media all the time, is that you're not afraid to say how it is. I think, was it Men's Health called you the Gordon Ramsay of the fitness industry? Why do you think you have that moniker?
So like, being a PT, I came to realize one thing. You only need 10 clients. That's it. So if I have 10 people that are paying me $100 a week, I can live off that. So when it went to 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers, part of me was like, I could genuinely live off 10 people liking me. So I'm not going to fucking bust my balls to get the whole world to wank me off. Like, it's so many people out there, they're so disingenuous to try and get people to like them, and it's so obvious. People on social media, these influencers with millions of followers, they think people are stupid. They think they're buying into that bullshit. Hey guys, come here today. We're going to be doing a HIIT workout. No one's like that. Fuck me. If you won a free trip to Bali on a private jet and stayed in the you'd be like, that's fucking sick, innit? That's the height of emotion for men, right? Ever. Hey mate, your missus giving you a free pass. You can go to a brothel, do whatever you want for a week. You'd be like, oh, that's sick. No one's like, oh my God, today guys, we're gonna go to Bali. So when I see this on social media, I'm like, nah.
Call it out.
Yeah, no, I don't want, it's just bullshit. I can't stand it.
Do you think the fitness industry has kind of gained a lot from social media, or it's kind of going in the wrong direction? Because like you said, there's a lot of fake people on social media in the fitness industry that put on this facade. Do you think we're better off with social media, or we're not?
I think the same problems exist as from before, where if you had fitness first, the guy in the best shape and the girl in the best shape are probably going to have the most clients. Mm-hmm. And because of that, they're probably going to charge the most money from basic commodities and demand. However, social media, let's say 1 in 1,000 people is a fucking neurotic sociopath that only cares about how they look. Nothing exists in their world. You know American Psycho, where like behind closed doors, he's a fucking animal. There are people like that with fitness. They're like, they weigh their rice and they're like, they pick up the the grain of rice that was over, and they're like, fuck you.
It's psychotic.
Yeah, there are people like that. But the thing is, they now get ranked really highly in algorithms because they take off their top and they pose under the right lighting, and people can't help but look. Because even if you just stare and zoom in, but you don't double tap or share a comment, the algorithm knows.
Yeah.
So then these people get fed higher and higher and higher, which is kind of similar to those PTs in the gym. They're people that probably work the least, have the most genetics, and have the most sociopathic tendencies to enjoy being hungry for a good image, go to the top of the algorithm. And the danger of that is the unreal expectations it sets for other people, because I've struggled with this a lot in my life, where sometimes I'm like, oh, my hairline's not that strong. Oh, I'm a little bit fat at the moment. Oh, I haven't got a big chest. And then I'm like, I'm 6 foot. I'm self-employed. I'm living a great life. I'm in a happy relationship. I got a dog. I'm like, why do I wake up and only think about things I don't have? There are guys out there chiseled as fuck that would do anything to be 5'10", let alone 6 foot. You know what I mean? So like,
So it's perception, and we probably should stop comparing each other to other.
And that's kind of the problem with social media, is you get the good parts of it where maybe people are becoming more healthy because of stuff they see on TikTok or Instagram, but then it's the unrealistic expectations of body shaming and stuff like that.
like for instance, the average male height is 5'8".
Thank you. That's good.
Yeah, fine.
So like, but then people on social, women especially, they can sometimes be like, oh, if you're dating a guy under 6'2", you're doing charity work. And when you do the percentages of how many men are actually above that, let's say you want someone who's over 6'2", I think it's like 10% of the population, let's say. You want him to have a six-pack as well, cool, it's a little bit less. You want him to be single, it's a little bit less. You want him to be self-employed and have a nice car, it's even less.
That pool of fish is getting smaller and smaller.
But that 1%, let's call it 0.01%, there's still hundreds of thousands of people on social media that fit that category. And people can follow, I think, 7,500 people as a limit on Instagram. So people have still got mass access to this world. Let's say 1 in 100 women bounce back from pregnancy with the stomach they had before. That's what's put on Women's Health magazine. So then women are like, oh, you know, all of this stuff. We live in this really weird world where we don't look at our surroundings, we just look at the screen in front of us. So for like any day that you guys might be like, oh, I'm not as jacked as I was last year. If you look at your friendship circle, your family circle, the people that you would interact with if you weren't on the internet, you'd be in the top echelon. But then when you do expose yourself to those online echelons, you're suddenly like, oh, fuck, I'm not good. We do the same with our engagement. You're like, oh, 1,000 new followers this week. You're like, oh, it's not great. Fuck, it was, you know, there's people out there with millions. You're like,
well, this video is not getting enough views.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then you're like, you're beating yourself up. And then you're like, it's a survivorship bias as well, because the only people that, let's say, for instance, I sometimes get, with the book stuff, I'm like, oh, I've never sold 1 million copies of one book. I'm like, that's a bit shit, because I've got 1 million followers. And then I realized that behind every author who's published a book is someone that wrote a book that never got published. Behind that is so many people that started a book and never finished it. Behind that are so many people that thought about writing a book and never did. And behind all those people are that, people that dreamt one day of even having the time to write a book. But we never hear the stories of all the failures. We never hear the stories of all the people who started a podcast and failed, started an Instagram and failed. So because of that, we're living in this world where we're only exposed to the people that succeeded.
What do you think was the catalyst for you to absolutely blow up? Because like you said, when you were in England or you came to Australia, you had 10,000 followers. And it's a slow grind, the content game. What was was it one video? Was it the consistency that took you from hundreds of thousands to millions of followers?
I think March 15th, 2017, Australia Square, just down the road. Mate, I fucking hated Fitness First. I hated it. So I was in there trying to build a client base. I had like 10 clients. Not even actually, maybe like 5, but they were seeing me twice a week. And I just didn't want to be there. The George Street, it's downstairs, there's no windows. Like,
Depressing in there.
it's depressing as fuck. Down 2 floors. So I'm going into a place that I don't really want to build a business in. I'm wondering why I'm not building a business. And I came out and I was pretty skint. Like, my housemates, we moved into a flat at the time. And I just got sent a bill for like $1,000. And I was like, what's this? They're like, oh, we went to IKEA, we've got a sofa, we've got a barbecue, we've got a ping pong table. I'm like, lads, I've got no money. So I had to message my dad and be like, Dad, I'm 28 years old. Can I borrow $400? And he was like, yeah, don't tell your mum. Because, you know, your mum will worry about you if you're overseas.
Make you come back.
Yeah, and I remember I went to Australia Square and I sat there and my mates texted me and they were like, oh, how's it going? And I was like, not good. I was like, I'm struggling to fucking break even. I was like, something needs to change. So on the way back, there's an Office Works on, I think, Pitt Street. I bought a whiteboard, some pens and a tripod. And I was like, right, 3 or 4 p.m, I'm gonna go home from work and I'm gonna do a live video. And I was like, this has to go viral, has to go viral. So I put a podcast on the way home on a certain topic, whether it was periodization, caffeine, keto, whatever it was. And it would be about 7 in the morning in the UK. And because I didn't have a camera, I didn't know how to edit. My MacBook was from like 2011. It would have an asthma attack if I tried editing on it. I would hit live and I'd just rant for 5 minutes. And then I'd be like, cool, see you later. And this is just as videos were kind of the algorithmic key in like Facebook, things like that. And then they get shared. It would be 100 shares, a bit more shares, all this. And then I was like, cool, I just need to keep doing this every day. So every day I was doing lives. I remember the first one that got 1,000 likes and the first one that got 100,000 views. Then I did one on the menstrual cycle live and it got like 7 million views.
I remember this video.
This is back in the day and I was like, whoa. So then at 50,000 followers, I bought a camera. And then I was like, I've just got to keep doing this every day. Live in the morning, post in the evening. Live in the morning.
Keep up in your production, keep up in the quality.
Yeah. And then Facebook got fucking shunted in 2018. Facebook was unreal. I used to get like 2,500, 3,000 people on a live. Then overnight it went to like 200. Facebook, in a bid to save the platform, wanted it to become a friends and family platform. So you got notified about your cousin's birthday, not what Gymshark were doing. So all the brands got shunted to Instagram. I hadn't been using Instagram because my Facebook was blowing up. So then I went over to Instagram where I had like 20,000 followers. And then since 2018 to now, managed to build that to 1 million. But then I was late to TikTok. because I never respected it as a platform. So I'm constantly late to these
We were
platforms.
the same. We was like TikTok, people are dancing on there. I had a couple of mates on there that were just doing silly things. I was like, this is for kids. And then, to be honest, that's the thing that blew us up almost. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
It's become the more important
That
medium.
organic reach from TikTok was massive.
And then it was suddenly like portrait content. And then I went into the portrait stuff quite hard. But yeah, consistency. Probably a couple of years ago, I lived next to a cafe in Bondi. I would get up, go have 2 cups of coffee at 7 a.m, get back, edit, produce something and put it out. Because I've done it all myself. I could turn something around in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So then there's a trend. I was like, oh, finish the coffee, run back home. I don't need a shit. I'm like, I'm doing the edit first. Like, putting the captions on when I'm like waiting to have a shit. And then like, consistency mainly. And everyone says, oh, what was the main thing? There are things that came along where one morning I got 35,000 followers in a day because Lad Bible did a piece on me. And like, my manager messaged me going, what's happening? And every time I scrolled, it was 1,000 new followers.
Awesome.
I was like, we've been hacked. Hacked.
Up.
Yeah, but then, there are different things that happen through that. I'm in Ireland promoting and my mate comes over and he's like, you're not going out with your mates tonight. You're flying back to the UK. You're doing Peirs Morgan in the morning. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
And that was it. We did 12,500 hardbacks from a 5-minute chat with Peirs.
Did he interrupt you a lot?
He was actually all right. I was on there to fat shame him. So they were like, well, James, come online.
Because he's got a couple kilos on him, Peirs.
Yeah. He owns it though. He knows
Yeah,
he's a big boy.
But then I knew that. So they were like, will you come and fat shame Peirs? I was like, yeah. And I just hijacked the conversation. And he was like, am I fat? And I was like, it's not the first thing I thought when I walked in the room. And he was like, thank you, James. And I was like, because it wasn't going to help book sales for a diet book if you're fat shaming someone. So yeah, like those opportunities arise. My mate that played rugby used to say, the more he practiced, the luckier he got. And I think that's 100% the fact. Like if something's going to blow up, it's usually from consistency of doing it loads.
100%.
And you don't know what will blow up.
Exactly right. And you mentioned your books. You're a 3-time Sunday Times bestseller. Yeah, Confidence is your most recent book. I think you talk about like the mindset of altering, not having so much negative thoughts and always trying to turn something into a positive. How important is optimism when you're trying to build a platform, build, a business? And how has it been important to you, optimism?
So like, I'll probably hijack the question and talk about, like, you can be optimistic, but instead people worry about they want to avoid pessimism. But then if you look at pessimism as failure, there's such a powerful utility to failing that people don't talk about. Like, let's say you're like, oh, I struggle with content, I struggle talking to camera, I struggle talking to women. Cool. I'm like, well, if you go talk to someone and you fail, let's say you go to approach a woman for a number and you get shut down, although you failed, it actually bolsters your competence in that area because you become a little bit less nervous. Let's say you do a live video or your first bit of video content and it flops and no one watches it and people comment that the editing was bad. You kind of got that a little bit more comfortable with doing it. And like, I always break it back to the door knocking. I knocked on 100 doors, but by having 99 people say no, I became really thick-skinned from that. So people need to appreciate, rather than looking at optimism, look at there is such a utility to failing. Like, if you can fail in the right places, you can find out what doesn't work. And that ultimately, inevitably leads you to what does work. Whether that's what you're doing in your thumbnails on YouTube, whether it's how you're approaching someone. But then not only that, confidence is only usually a big key issue when people set the wrong goals. So if you set your goal as that girl giving you her number and going on a date, that's a pretty hard one. You might have to talk to 20 girls, in your case only 5, but
Oh man, I struggle, I have a crack, don't get me wrong, the DMs make it a little bit easier, but I'll be knocking.
But say you're like, right, she has to say yes, that's my metric of success.
Yeah.
Then it's harder, but if you go, my metric of success is just talking to her, then you win at every opportunity. You've already won by the time that she's opened her mouth.
Yeah.
So the same with content. People go, oh, I want to get a silver play button, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm like, well, why not just set yourself a goal of doing a video every day? Because then you've won the second you press publish. And then you get to succeed. Your mate might go, because my friends thought I was insane. For those 3-4 years getting to 10,000, there were times and periods where people would have thought I was mad. My rugby teammates were like, oh, Smithy, can we have a potato? And then like 5 years later, they'll message me on Facebook and be like, fair play.
Has that been something hard to overcome, is the confidence to put yourself out there? I mean, you've been doing it for so long now, but initially I remember when we first started, it was like the fear of embarrassment, the fear of, how other people would perceive you. What was that like, especially as you've gotten bigger and, you're obviously going to get the hate's probably intensified 10 times more as your followings increase. What has that journey been like?
It's interesting. First of all, you try and get the support of your friends and your family, but they're the only people that will never buy your product. So much of the time we're trying to appease the people that will never benefit us.
They're asking for free tickets to your show.
Yeah. So like, a lot of the time you're like, I don't know, you're being a PT, you try and get the nod from other PTs. You're trying to actually impress other PTs. They're the only people that will never put money in your pocket. So then I was like, fuck, why am I giving a fuck about what other PTs say? The hater thing is interesting because even like the Greek Stoics from thousands of years ago talk about the bigger your profile, the more hate you're going to get. And I actually coined a term, I called it the hater inspiration paradox, which is really weird. I didn't put it in the book. When you see someone doing really well, you're faced with two paths, to hate or be inspired. So a lot of people, someone like Joe Rogan, they look at him and they go, fuck, I'm inspired because I can see what he's accomplished. And then they go, okay, what am I going to have to do to accomplish it? Oh, just do a podcast every day for 10 years. They're like, what?
Excuse me?
Yeah, just do that. And don't make any money for the first 7 years. What? And then they go, what's easier, doing that or hating him? Oh, yeah, he's a fucking prick. He was lucky. He got there in the boom era, you know. So like, I need to appreciate that for some people that look at what I do, they go, I could do that. And I do see some personal trainers doing a lot better because of it. But then I need to appreciate some people look at the work, and if they're not willing to be inspired, they will hate as a default because it's their easiest emotion to deal with. But like, that's cool. That's fine for them. I feel sorry for a lot of these people, especially the ones that troll, right? So let's say someone's gone out there to leave like a negative review or something like that. They're doing that to make them happy. They're not doing that, you know, fueled by anything else. They're just trying to make themselves happy. They're trying to feel something. So when someone's like jumping on live going, oh, you're a prick, or oh, I'm like, but you're still in my life. You've left whatever you had in your world, whether your girlfriend or your partner or your dog. Your dog's there wanting attention. You're going, how can I ruin James Smith's evening? I'm like, you're doing this to make yourself happy. So for that, I feel sorry for him. Because if you're living a good life, which I'm sure you boys are, you haven't really got time to hate. Like, sometimes I do wind myself up. Like, there are some people I just don't like, right? And we should be allowed to. Sometimes I look at people I don't like who are doing well, and it riles me up. Sometimes I'm like, oh, a bit tired, I'm not going to make any content today. Go on that person's profile. I'm like, you fucking cunt, get the camera out.
Get the camera.
Get the camera.
It's inspiration.
Yeah.
You almost respect the work ethic.
Yeah, and I want, sadistically, I treat this all like a game. I love playing Call of Duty. And I go
You're
on
a competitive guy.
Yeah, I just want to go on there and just beat 13-year-olds to the point they never play it again, all right?
Makes you happy.
Yeah. So then sometimes I'm like, it becomes, you remove yourself from it. Social media, I'm like, how can I get the top score today? And I think it's fun to do that because it never feels real. You guys, hundreds of thousands of followers, rather than being like, oh, there's fucking 10 stadiums of people that watch our stuff that have clicked follow, you can sit back and go, my score's 500,000, what can I do to get to 600,000? I think that can detach you from the reality, and how you find your little bouts of inspiration to do it, like, they're key.
What's your favourite insult that people give you in the comments?
There are some saying like I'm privately educated, that I went to like private school, or that I'm a hedge fund, trust fund
Must
kid.
just be the English accent they're going on.
Yeah, I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, fair
Does it
enough.
make you laugh though?
Yeah, it does a bit. Or just some of the rumours online. I'm like, they don't even make sense. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
When it comes to your content, like you said, you say it how it is. You're not really scared to, you know, call people out for something, whether it's other creators, other people in the fitness industry. Do you sometimes, as you grow bigger, caution yourself? Because when we start to think about some of the content we put out, we're like, do we need to do this? Is this going to affect something? Do you sometimes hesitate and go, maybe I won't call this out now? Or what's the process of like, okay, fuck this, I'm calling this out?
Had a couple of big lawsuits.
Okay.
One with a supplement company that I can now never mention ever again.
Cease and desist almost?
Worse. Like, I got served, my mates got served, my family got served.
Oh, shit.
My business partner, like, we all got served on the same day. And it was to the point that we hadn't set up our business, we hadn't set up our IP, or we didn't have like family trusts. If they had like actually tried to sue us, they could have taken, there wasn't a lot there, I was still up and coming, but it would have been a bad day at the office. There have been some stuff like where I'd run-ins with like nutritionists and things like that. But now I've realised if you just say in my honest personal opinion, within any of the context, it's not slander, it's not defamation. So I've become very good at that. So sometimes like...
Or drop the allegedly. Is it a good one? Yeah, we drop allegedly.
Approximately.
Yeah.
So I'm in a black cab in London. My manager, he's like, we're being sued. And I was like, oh, fuck. And he's like, the lawyers have drafted up the whole thing. and they've quoted everything I've said, and they've included the video. They screen recorded one of my lives that I didn't save. So someone was recording me, just waiting for me to trip up, and I do like a 10-minute rant ripping into someone, and then at the end I go, of course, my honest personal opinion. My manager's like, yes, get in, like messages them back like, fuck off, you know, like. So yeah, but then the last few years have calmed it down a bit. Twitter can go a bit crazy sometimes. Like,
That's a troll platform.
yeah, you're not allowed to be saying there. Like, and I've had a couple of people be like, you got to be careful there. Because when I see dudes pretending to be women to get into women's prison, I'm trying to be a man that's sticking up for women. But now you got people that are like jumping into that space being like, nah, you're a bigot, you're all of this. And I'm like, being a man, you know what men can be like. And if you try and protect women from those men, there are so many different ways around it that the left can come for you. And I was like, it's annoying that sometimes you got to bite your tongue.
Well, I wouldn't even consider you leaning to the right. I reckon, like from me watching you probably sit centre.
Yeah.
With someone with common sense. And to call out stuff like that, whether it's in sports, female prisons, like you said, sometimes you got to bite your tongue almost because you don't want to deal with the backlash that comes from
Or
it.
people say, stick to personal training, stick to what you know, stick to that. I'm like, I don't need to have a knowledge base to know this is stupid.
It's not even that. It's just, you don't even care about politics. You're just providing your opinion
Yeah.
on a certain
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. Oh, what do you know? Blah, blah. I'm like, I don't have to know. It's just my opinion. But Twitter's the interesting one.
Yeah. A thing that I saw that you said that you really was on your mind when you wrote the book Confidence was old people don't regret the things that they did. They regret the things that they didn't do. How important is having that mindset when you're pursuing something that you're passionate about?
So like when I was coming to Australia, my mates were like, you're stupid. They're like, you've got this good client base in the UK. You're earning good money. Why are you going to give all that up? And I said to them, if it doesn't work out, I'll come back. I was like, on a bad day, I'll get 50% of my clients back. Like, that's a bad day. This gym's not going to go anywhere. And if it does, I'll go to another gym. Like, because I'm a PT, I can just kind of go anywhere. And every time I went to New Zealand to play rugby when I was younger, I've done all these things because I've known that if it doesn't work out, I can come back. And now I'm older, I sometimes sit and see my mates that never went because they're worried about it not working out. And you can kind of see through their eyes, there are so many people that have gone through life and they just are haunted by the things they didn't do. They're like, well, they did the right thing. They got a mortgage early. They settled down with their missus. And by all means, if that's what you want from life, that's fine. But then you start seeing them at 30 and they're kind of like, fuck, what was I doing? They're like, and they say to you, they want to live vicariously through you.
Do you think that time in your 20s is for you to pursue anything and everything that you want to do? Because, like I said, you're young. You can fall back on anything. You could always go back to your job.
You can afford to make a mistake.
This is it. And like in my 20s, I was very anti-mortgage. I was like, this is the best advice my parents ever gave me. They just never pressured me into it. I was like, when I was like 25, I was like, should I be getting a house? And they're like, do what you want. And I took that so literally to the point that even at 28, I was like, oh, I'm going to squander any savings I have just traveling so I can know where I'm going to go. So many people now try and have their life set up in their 20s. They don't even know what they want to do. And the mortgage thing, I've just bought a house and got a hefty mortgage.
Congratulations.
So cheers. It's a 30-year debt. When you say you bought a house, I'm like, I didn't really. I've just signed onto a 30-year loan.
Yeah, no, we're still paying our uni debts off, so we're catching up.
Yeah, I'm just giving someone my balls pretty much for 30 years. But like, when so many people I know are young, they haven't decided what they want to do, so they're not really passionate about their work. So because of that, they're not making a lot of money. And the thing is, in your early 20s, you're not allowed to be creative, right? So we're all quite creative guys. So if you go to a job that's paying entry-level salaries, let's say, I don't know, what would be here, like 40,
65,
60K,
yeah.
40, 50, 60K, that's how long it's been. At 50K, if you go to your boss, you go, I've got an idea. They're like, shut the fuck up. You're on 50K for a reason, mate. I don't want your creativity. You have to work for 10 years before anyone even listens to what you say.
And they respect your opinion.
Yeah, because so you got all these young people that, even if they're geniuses, they don't have the audacity or confidence to do their own thing. They're not earning great money, so they can't live in the areas they want. So they have a mortgage with someone they might not even be in love with because they never dated that many people. They're not living in the area they want. They're living in the area they can afford. They're now so far away from the place that they work that they're traveling for an hour and whatever each day to go back to the house that they bought in an area they didn't want to live with a partner they're not really in love with. And they're like feeling unfulfilled after 4 years. They're like, let's have kids. And then they have to move further away from where they were. And I've seen this, and it's not the story for everyone, but for so many people, they just need someone to say to them, hey, spend all of your 20s doing whatever the fuck you want. Figure life out, figure shit out. Because I think spending a bit more time deciding who you are and what you want to do is such a better way. Like, look at you guys. even if you look at like the inspired unemployed lads, right? Absolutely fucking killed it. Imagine if someone had gone to them at 24 and been like, you need to start taking life a bit more seriously, lads. You need to, first of all,
Get a job.
Stop dancing.
Kiama, there's nothing happening here. You boys, you're going to Zetland. So you can be closer to the city and get a corporate job. You know, start taking life more. It's the worst advice ever. And so many people that have really experienced success in the late 20s are the ones that kind of just floated around waiting for something to stick.
It's an interesting perspective on life. But for those people that would be devil's advocate to that and say they might not have the creativity in them and that's their only avenue in life is to go get a mortgage, to go do that kind of stuff. It's just, you know, that's just is what it is. That's what,
Each to their own almost.
But then, but this is it. But I'm not talking to those people. I can never talk to all people. So the idea is when I say that, I want half the room to go, he's a fucking idiot. But half the room to go, no one's ever spoken to me like that before. When I say eat a calorie deficit for fat loss, some people are going to go, what about anorexics? You know, and I'm like, well, it wasn't for them. It wasn't for them. So this is the thing.
Contextualise what you're saying.
Say like the whole table is the world. 70% of them are spoken to every day. Hey guys, go to work, enjoy yourselves, talk to your friends if you're not feeling under the weather, blah, blah, all that. But there's 30% of people that are never spoken to. And I like to speak to those people. Hey, you a fat cunt? And they're like, oh, excuse me? Did you just call me a fat cunt? Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Well, actually, I am a fat cunt, and no one's ever called me a fat cunt before. What is it you're selling? You know, like, and I joke about polarising. Let's say you guys are, we're going to a family barbecue, come along, and one of your uncles is there, and he's like, oh, what do you think about the Formula One at the weekend? I'd love to go. I think Formula One's fucking shit, mate. I think it's the worst fucking sport in the world. It's just loud cars going around in circles.
I don't get it.
Yeah. So, but then your uncle will go, cool, he's a bit of a cunt. But then your other uncle will go, who's that lad? I like him. You know, but people are so afraid to polarize and to go after that smaller echelon of people. So instead they're like, yeah, good race, Lewis Hamilton. Hey.
Yeah, it's a refreshing change of pace. And that's what sets you apart from a lot of people in the fitness industry that just want to do what everyone else is doing.
And they want to impress everyone.
Yeah, impress other PTs, and you really set yourself apart. So in the fitness world, I want to run some trends by you and get James Smith's honest thoughts on these trends. Things that are happening right now, a big one, men glancing at women in the gym, giving the old stare. Is it play on? Is it not play on? What's the go there? What's your personal thoughts on this?
So I was like Sherlock Holmes when I was in the gym. You walk into a gym I'm PTing at, I know where you've come from. I know what sport you're into. I can even tell what you trained yesterday by the way you're walking, right?
If he's limping.
Yeah. So I'm looking here. I'm looking like, oh yeah, Yeezy's a man that likes comfort. Oh yeah, Dunks. It's annoying. The black and white was a nice drop, but everyone got them. Everyone got them.
They're not my shoes, they're his shoes.
They kind of killed it. So in the gym, sometimes like, say I see a girl squatting, I'm looking over and I'm going, oh, low bar back squat. I wonder if she's doing a hip dominant movement on purpose, or maybe she's got bad ankle mobility. What's she wearing on her shoes? Oh, she's wearing Converse. Oh, sweet, she probably knows to be wearing a flat shoe when she trains. Then I might see her go to a front squat after, and I go, sweet, it's great to see a woman front squatting. And I go, maybe she periodized her program to go something a little bit more hip dominant, the low bar back squat, then she goes into... So I'm just looking, I'm just
observing,
kind of, just admiring.
Yeah.
And then I might see her put lifters on. I go, oh, does she do CrossFit? You know? Also, and even before as a trainer, and even now, even though I still am a trainer, I like to watch people to see if I can maybe go talk to them. There was two lads in the gym next to me. I was training down the coast, and I said, lads, do you mind me giving you a bit of advice? I used to do a seated row very stiff, but then as I got older, I actually start flexing through my upper back and extending. It helps me contract my muscle.
Stretching the lat out.
Yeah. So I said, hey, no one ever told me that in the gym when I was your age. So I tell them that. So like these lads are like 16. I don't want people to look at me and go, oh, well, he's a pedo. Why is that? Because he's talking to 15-year-old boys. What the fuck? Don't. And if I'm looking at someone in the gym, what am I not allowed to kind of have a look? But then someone else who doesn't understand might see someone, you know, doing a movement in the gym. You might be doing a hack squat on a Smith machine. He might not be objectifying you. There are people that objectify, but we can't bend all the rules for a small group of people. And he might just be mustering the courage to come over and ask about your squat variation. And the fucking gym environment so much needs to be, you know, like
more supportive, I think, of each other, a bit more friendly. Like you said, what if a 16-year-old's looking at someone on the hack squat go, okay, I'm not doing it like that.
I think
I want my form to be something similar to that.
I think the statistic of Australians who go to the gym, it's like 15%. It's like fucking ridiculous, right? So you've got a room of people that, irrespective if you're male, female, old, young, or whatever, you've got shared values with someone. I'm getting pissed off now. You're in a room with people that share the same fucking values as you. You want to be stronger, you want to be fitter, you want to look better, you want to feel better. Talk to each other. Fuck me. People go to these like marketing, connecting meetings where you're like, oh, we're entrepreneurs, we want to hang out. People that love YouTube hanging out makes better YouTube. People that like fitness hanging out makes better fitness. And it pisses me off that women are, using this as an angle because they're only doing it to make engaging content. Like
It is for the views almost.
yeah, and like
Well, that's why they're recording.
Yeah.
we need men and women to synergistically get on. That's how societies work, right? And people talk about oppressive, patriarchal tyrannies and all of that. Men and women have fought together for fucking thousands of years to get to your privileged fucking position on social media. You know what I mean? Like, if one couple had fucked up through that whole lineage of thousands of years, you wouldn't be here. So, like, it's crazy that we get to this point where people are like, oh, I was being stared at. Maybe it was predatory. Maybe he was just fucking looking. And how did you notice him if you weren't looking at him in the gym?
There you go. Mate, I mean, that's
What
an honest take.
what about guys trying to have a crack in the gym? Fair play?
It depends. It's all about approach, innit?
I mean, knock on 1,000 doors, like you said.
People say they don't like being sold to, but actually, when you're sold to right, it's good. Like even someone on the street. I remember I was in Turkey a few months ago, and a guy walking down the street dropped his brush. So I picked it up, I gave it back to him, and he said, "Oh, let me give you a shoe shine as thanks." And he polished my shoes, then I paid him. And then he smiled, and I realised he dropped the brush on purpose. He was doing it to everyone he walked past, so they'd give it back to him, and he would say, "Let me say thanks."
Great tactic.
I was like, "You're a fucking genius, mate." I was like, "It's brilliant." I was like, "You've actually sold to me, but your approach was incredible." So I think that, if you're a guy in the gym and you want to approach someone, if anything, if you look at like the amount of sexless young people or people, sex is an indication of lack of relationships. Lack of relationships is a fundamental issue. So before people go, "Oh yeah, sex isn't a problem." A guy going up to a woman and just saying, "Hey, I think you're really attractive. I've seen you in the gym a few times. Would it be possible for me to give you my number? Feel free to never message me again. If you have a boyfriend, I completely understand." That should be a chivalrous thing that should benefit the woman, because even if she's in a loving relationship or married, she gets to go home and go, "Wow, a guy approached me
Compliment
today."
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about steroids in fitness? It's become. I feel like being on social media, I think it's becoming more prominent. But for young guys using testosterone or any other gear,
People are a lot more open about it.
people are a lot more open about it. Where do you think the state of, like, whether it's creators, should people be more open about it? Is it becoming more of a prominent thing in fitness?
Yeah, so imagine this, right? I have whatever portion of the fitness industry you want to allocate to me. Let's say I create a training program and a new diet, and then I take a course of steroids, and then I point the finger to my new training program. A 20-30% increase in sales for me is a tremendous amount of money. So then you're looking at a bribe of, okay, for $500,000, are you willing to lie for 12 weeks? And it's fucking tempting. I've thought about it before. I'm like, right, I could run some clenbuterol, I could maybe get some SARMs, put on myself on a bit of testosterone. I could point the finger to this program, every day go live, go, "Guys, you're not going to believe what this periodization is doing to me." Then a supplement company might go, "Hey, James, we're releasing this new supplement. It's liver tablets. They're pretty fucking useless. Do you fancy selling them?" "Well, yeah, guys, I've actually been mixing this periodization with this liver supplement."
It's easy to mislead people.
So easy. And people are more desperate than ever for gains, let's say. And people don't want to hear, "Oh, yeah." So, for instance,
I mean, look at Liver King as a prime example. He pretty much lied to his whole following, built up millions of followers.
he was doing $100 million a year. $100 million a year.
I mean, that sounds enticing to do if you earn 100 mil. I don't know what he's put his body through.
He's probably
But
taken about 10, 15 years off his
do you
life.
think
But they're
there's...
not the good years. When people are like, "Oh, go vegan or go meat-free Mondays to live longer." I'm like, them years between 70 and 90, who's living in them? You're just breathing.
Mark Burris.
Mark Boris, yeah. Fuck.
He's the outlier.
Do you think there's a lot of, like, not to the extent of Liver King and the following that he built, but there's a lot of creators and fitness influencers out there that are probably doing what he's doing still?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's going to be rife. Women do it as well. Testosterone is a big thing for women to manipulate as well. And then it's not only just these like physique shows and things they're doing. It's about how they get status and how they get eyes on. And let's say you're just a gym bro who's endorsed on TikTok or Instagram, or you're getting YouTube views. My argument would be, why wouldn't you take steroids? Why wouldn't you put yourself in harm's way? Like, it almost becomes a part of their brand. Transparency is what I'd like to see, because then we can respect these people for their decisions. And it is pretty obvious from the outset. And like, I'd like to see it all around, because Chris Hemsworth, I love him. I think he's a dreamy guy. I question my sexuality when I look at him.
Phenomenal actor as well.
But when you see him in the most recent Thor, you're like, bro, you are juicy. And people go, "Oh, but it's just a movie." And I'm like, but what about the Centerfit app that he sold for a couple $100 million or whatever it was? You're like, oh, they're muddying the waters a bit. So
Fairly. I mean, I'm sure he's not just doing that off a CrossFit app.
I mean,
getting jacked like
every
that.
different Thor movie, he's got a different physique that's equally as.
But it's same as
magnificent.
applicable to Hugh Jackman for Wolverine. You know, your John Cena's, your Zac Efron's. You know, people aren't stupid. Look at The Rock.
people think he's natural.
Yeah.
People believe he got more muscle in his 40s than his 30s and more muscle in his 50s
That's
than
what
his 40s.
I can't
It's
comprehend.
impossible.
And like, there is a big trend at the moment of people going natural though. A lot of people are coming off cycle because we're really starting to understand the impacts it can have to your health. Like before, I thought it was just the fact of having more tissue that it would stress your body out. But there are quite a few markers for health that, you know, but imagine if you're an athlete and you're facing the chance of making it or not making it. Let's say NRL, right? You're on the cusp of making a team. Someone's like, oh, if you take a bit of gear, you know, you could make it in. You could be a nobody that no one's ever heard of, or you can make the first grade team. All you got to do is take a chance. And if you get caught, you made it, and then you get shamed. Surely in some respects, that's better than no one ever knowing your name.
It's a risk to reward almost ratio.
It depends on the person.
Well, on supplements in general, you know, there's these fad supplements that are out there. I want to get your thoughts on them, like stuff like BCAAs or natural testosterone boosters. How do you decipher, especially for young people out there, what is actually legitimate and can enhance your performance in the gym or just in your lifestyle, and what's actual garbage? Do you follow a lot of studies, stuff like, you know, ashwagandha, tonka ali, that could increase your natural testosterone levels? What are your thoughts on those?
Well, the brilliant thing I do here is I follow people that are smarter than me, then regurgitate their information as my own.
Yeah, we do a lot of that sometimes.
But you got like Andrew Huberman, Derek More Plates, More Dates, you got Layne Norton, you got these people. And basically like Tonka Ali, I'm trying that at the moment to see, and I've done my bloods, I'm going to see if it actually improves testosterone or free testosterone.
How far along? A couple of weeks?
I did a couple of weeks and fell off for a bit, and then I'm back on for a couple of weeks, but it'll be like a 6-week gap in between. Creatine is something I've circled back to recently, because I've seen some of the studies into memory, performance.
A lot of people say you could take that year round as well.
Oh yeah, because we produce it naturally, and it's something that is found in things like red meat. So I'm going to try a high dosage of that for a few months, just to see, one, if I feel the gains as much as the kind of studies point to. It's cheap and it's effective, and more the cognitive side of things. People with Alzheimer's are now being given creatine, which is interesting one. Branched chain amino acids are a waste of fucking time. But then when we get into some of the other stuff like ashwagandha and all of these, although they do have benefits and like controlled studies, fuck me. Imagine saying to someone, I've got a supplement for you. What is it? Stop being on your phone after 9 p.m. For how long? Forever, you can't.
And go to sleep earlier.
Yeah. Get an eye mask. Crank your aircon. Get into bed. Like little things like that. And people don't want to hear it. They want to supplement it. So there are some things that are really like kind of effective, but there's a lot of bullshit out there as well.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe looking away from the fitness industry, just you as a creator in general, you know, you've written 3 books. I'm sure you got more planned. You've traveled all over the world, Dubai, UK, Indonesia. Do you see yourself, where have you found the best place to be in the world?
Probably here in Sydney, yeah. And it sounds mad, like there are so many things I hate about Australia. The fucking non-stop tolls that you get for driving your car. Yeah. Slips, pink slip, blue slip, fucking green slip. Like,
Too
what the
many
fuck?
rules.
Yeah, like in the UK, it's like you got an MOT and you're on the road with insurance. You got fucking taxes astronomically high. Your fucking police intimidate the fuck out of me.
Parking's fucked.
Yeah, like all of those things are fucked. You guys, you can't park facing the same way. Or in the UK, you can park facing whatever way you want. Here, you get a ticket for parking facing the wrong way. I'm like, what? So you got some fucked up rules, and actually, some of the people here are arseholes. They're very entitled, especially in Sydney and the eastern suburbs. But I love it.
Are you talking yourself out of saying it's the best?
No, people got to realise it comes from a balanced standpoint.
Yeah.
Also, one thing, New South Wales Police, if you're watching this, I've got a lot of time and respect for you. I really do. But stop being so strict at festivals, all right? Because I see the youngsters dropping their load because they're scared of the sniffer dogs. In the UK, slap on the wrist if you're caught. Don't have the sniffer dogs aren't real sniffer dogs. Someone's just brought their pet along for the day. Let them in, let them rave safe, all right? Keep an eye on them. But the kids here, they drop everything when they get to the entrance of the festival, which is going to kill more people than them just taking it recreationally inside. If you really want to look after the kids of today, New South Wales Police, test their pills on the door, limit them to like 2-3 pills like they do in Amsterdam, become more liberal with your way and your approach to it. Because you're not going to stop young Aussies from taking pingers.
Or young people in general having a good time at festivals. And to add to that, please drop my 2-year good behaviour bond if you have the time.
But you've been to Dubai.
Yeah.
I think you were there earlier last year. What's Dubai like, especially for as a content creator? Is it a new content hub or is it
Because a lot of people from Sydney now, I find whether you're in real estate and just other jobs in general, are moving to UAE, Dubai, Saudi Arabia for more opportunity. You've been there firsthand. What's it like?
Well, Australia's not got the opportunity. Things don't pop off here. Like, I'll go back to London and suddenly the TV will be like, can you come in and talk tomorrow? Yeah. Can someone have a Michelin-star restaurant? Be like, do you want to come in Dubai, have dinner? It's on us. You know, people...
It's fairly gate-kept here, it is.
Yeah, but in Sydney, like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, even you... The only people that show love here and are smart as a marketing standpoint are Anita ice cream. So I love Anita's. It's way better than Messina. Sorry, Messina. It's just way better. They messaged me, haven't messaged me in a year. They go, what's your new address? We're sending you some ice cream. And I was like, thanks, guys, for showing love. Like, as a creator, that's the only
Budgie
thing.
Smugglers also show us some love. They're great blokes that run it.
So, like, they're the two things. But then for any other content creator, nothing happens to them here. So I appreciate why they leave. But the life is good here. You have a good life. You have dips in the sea. You got the oceans. You got nice weather, whatever. When you go to Dubai, the first thing is that it's like tax-free. But I only realized on my last trip, it's tax-free on your earnings, but everything you buy is heavily taxed. So if you go there, you get to keep your whole salary, but then you pay $20, $30 for a beer. And everyone's like, yeah, but it's tax-free. I'm like, you just spent $30 on a beer. They're just taxing you on what you spend it on. So you go there for the tax-free lifestyle.
It's bait and switch.
Yeah, you have to stay inside the whole time for it to be cost-effective.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I'd always been a bit sketchy about Dubai, about like, you know, the culture and everything there. The last time I went, I actually realised it's an incredibly safe place. I think before I was just worried about, you know, you go out with your rugby teammates, you get pissed, you might say something or whatever. And like, going there, as long as you respect the culture, that is literally all they want. Don't do drugs, respect the culture. And a local guy who said that to me, he goes, if you do those two things, you're safe here. I then realised it's actually an incredibly safe place for people to be. You're not going to get mugged. No one's going to steal your stuff. However, there is an agglomeration of a certain type of people there. And I've said this, it'd be different for you guys. All the people I know that live in Dubai are people that want a better life that have never gone to Australia.
Yeah, well, and I want to finish on this. You know, you're very prominent across social media. You're some people's favourite creators. I know you come up on our FYP a fair bit. Who are your top 3 creators that you watch?
Well, you guys have got to be...
Oh, no, you don't have to say that. Don't be silly.
3 apart from you guys?
Yeah, 3 apart from us.
Because we're default.
Yeah. You mentioned some earlier. Yeah, who are your top 3?
Mate, do you know what? There's one guy I've been watching recently. He's in Sydney. He's a building inspector. And he puts on this weird voice, but he goes around people's houses and pointing out what's non-compliant. I'm hooked. And he's like, this scaffolding is supposed to be 15 millimeters non-compliant.
Oh, wow.
I'll find him. So mate, recently, this week, I've got into Brick Talk, where I'm watching bricklayers.
Where they mate, I get hooked.
The guy going through his earnings for the week as
well.
Yeah,
mate, 12 grand in a week. Jeez.
Mate, Bricky, good on him.
There's a guy called the Bean Wizard, and he's a very overweight guy who pretends to be a little troll outside his house. Hides beans in a tinfoil hat and hides in the snow.
So who says you don't love the fat?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So yeah, there's some funny ones there. You'll be able to get some clips from these people as well and overlay them.
We'll overlay them for sure. No, mate, I want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate you coming in. Again, keep doing what you're doing. You're absolutely killing it. I'm sure you're going to grow exponentially even more. What does 2023 look like for you? I know you just launched an app. You're going to continue with James Smith Academy. What's it looking like for you?
Yeah. So like business as usual with that. Got a dog now. Got a little Kelpie. Keep him busy. Bringing him up. Like, and then just keep training jiu-jitsu. That's it. The things that are important to me they are obviously important. But like, imagine the nucleus would be my relationship, my dog, and like my lifestyle, being stress-free, not working long days or whatever. Then on top of that, all the business stuff are like fun things that keep me occupied. So yeah, the most important things are probably the dog, holding the relationship down and then having a good year. But then on top of that, wherever the business stuff goes, it'll be fun.
Hey, best of luck to you. We'll be following along. Thank you, brother. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Mate.
Cheers, mate.